Hello and welcome all to the second day of EPIC Health Tech Innovation Conclave. We are discussing a lot of issues on healthcare technology from yesterday. We had a lot of sessions discussing about the cybersecurity and role of public and private partnership. Of course, we'll be discussing more about these issues tomorrow. Now, with us, we have a very important guest, a very important speaker, Ms. Vartika Agarwal. She is Senior Consultant, Healthcare Technology Division, WHO, Collaborating Center for Priority Medical Devices and Health Technology Policy, National Health Systems Resource Center. Thank you so much, Vartika, for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arora. Shall I start with my presentation?
Yeah, so Ms. Vartika would be giving a very important and showing a very important presentation on the role of healthcare technology in providing affordable and effective healthcare services in public health facilities under National Health Mission. Over to you, Vartika. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Arora. So, good evening to all the delegates who have joined virtually, and good evening to all the organizing committees. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. And as Mr. Arora has already given my brief introduction, I am working in National Health System Resource Center, and the topic on which I'll be speaking today is the role of healthcare technology in providing affordable and effective healthcare services in public health facilities under National Health Mission. So, before moving to the core topic that which I am going to present, I would like to give a brief introduction about National Health Systems Resource Center and the Healthcare Technology Division in which I work. So, Healthcare Technology, the National Health System Resource Center was established in 2007, and it was primarily established to assist in policies, strategic development, and provide technical support to states as well as to the Ministry of Health. So, the Healthcare Technology Division, the HCT division, is one of the divisions of NHSRC. And here, what we basically do, our primary work is to support Ministry of Health on policies, strategies, and forming healthcare technology agendas and develop certain programs under National Health Mission. And the Healthcare Technology Division is also been recognized as one of the collaborating centers, WHO collaborating centers for priority medical devices and health technology policy. So, moving on, before starting, I should tell you that how we all started in developing four primary programs which are under HCT. So, one is the Biomedical Equipment Maintenance and Management Program. Way back in 2013, there was a study conducted by Ministry of Health in which it was found that all the equipments that are there in National Health Mission, out of them, almost 63% of the equipment worth of rupees 10,000 crores are lying faulty and they are not working. Thereby, the patients or the people of the National Health Mission of PHCs, CHCs, and DH are deprived of facilities that should be provided under National Health Mission. And in free diagnostics, as per the NSSO 71st round data, it has been said that 10% of out-of-pocket expenditure of the diagnostics is under the 11.2% is expend in under OPD services and 9.6 is under IPD services. And the patients doesn't get diagnostics because of which they have a delay in disease, and the problem which can be cured at a source level, it goes to a later stage of disease and develops becomes a main problem. And in National Dialysis Program, which is one of our flagship programs, we've seen that the cost of dialysis every year, 2.2 lakh patients are introduced or added to the end-stage renal disease, which causes in India resulting an additional demand of 3.4 crore dialysis every year. So the cost of dialysis is really high, and the direct impact goes on to the patients or families of such patients. So it also relates to out-of-pocket expenditure. This is why we did a background study on all these programs, and then we come up with some guidelines under National Health Mission to cater all these problems. So this is the progress that my division, Healthcare Technology Division, has made. So my division was inception in 2013, in which we had the primer work of developing technical specification for biomedical equipments. In 2015, we came up with the guidelines of biomedical equipment maintenance program, and in the same year, we came up some guidelines with free diagnostics initiative. I will take you to all these programs, what we all do in the next trailing slides that I have. So in 2016, we came up with the guidelines for National Dialysis Program. In 2016, again, we came up with the guidelines for Healthcare Technology Assessment and NHINP Assessment. In 2017, we came up with an AERB guidelines and we did a costing of medical devices. In 2019, we came up with a revised document for free diagnostics and a revised technical manual for biomedical equipment maintenance program. And in 2019 also, we developed a guidelines for peritoneal dialysis. So this is the slide in a nutshell what the HCT team do. So as you can see that we have basic main 4 programs, that is the National Dialysis Program, Free Diagnostics Initiative, AERB Compliance Program, and Biomedical Equipment Maintenance and Management Program. And apart from these, we also do the procurement. We develop technical specification for devices which are under Indian Public Health Standards, and we do health technology assessment for medical devices and the technology that is related to medical devices. Moving on to all the programs one by one. Free Diagnostic Service Initiative. As you can see in the picture, we by free diagnostics, we mean that we provide pathology services, we provide teleradiology services. We actually support all these, not provide. We develop guidelines that how the states can cater these services in a streamlined manner to the people, and that will be free of cost to all patients. So we give pathology services, we develop guidelines for teleradiology, for CT scan, for MRI, and proper documentations can be done. So the Free Diagnostic Initiative, the initial guidelines that were launched in 2015, as you can see in the diagram, the laboratory services were catering to sub-health centers, primary health centers, community health centers, sub-district hospitals, and district hospitals. So it was developed with an intention to provide a set of essential diagnostics at various levels of care so that providers can make rational decisions regarding treatment and patient benefit by getting their tests conducted within the facility free of cost. So that reduces the out-of-pocket expenditure of the patient. Under this initiative, initially we have launched the guidelines that we have launched. We recommended 7 pathological tests to be available at the sub-center level, 19 at primary health centers, 39 at community health centers, and in community health centers, teleradiology and ultrasound services were also included, and 56 tests including ultrasound, X-ray, and CT at district hospital level. When in due course of time, when the things moved on in states, we realized that there are some tests which are still missing as per the National Essential Diagnostics List. So we came up with the revised guidelines for the expanded basket of tests. That was in October 2019. And now in the second edition, we recommend 14 tests at sub-health center and health and wellness centers, 63 tests at primary health centers, 97 tests at community health center, 111 tests at sub-district hospitals, and 134 tests at DH level. So this gives a comprehensive list of free diagnostics, and the patient, if the states have implemented this, then the patient doesn't have to go to the private clinic or to the private lab to get themselves tested. They can just get them tested at the district hospital level only. So these are the two pictures of the guidelines that were launched. First was in 2015, and the second is the revised document specifically for laboratory services in 2019. So what are our achievements in this? In Free Diagnostics Initiative, Pathology and Laboratory Services, we have implemented this program successfully in 33 states and union territories as on February 21, 2021. And in free diagnostics initiative, teleradiology services. By teleradiology, we mean that the test will be catered at the facility, and the people will be sitting remotely. The radiologist will be sitting remotely at somewhere at a center, at district hospital or at a higher center, and they will be getting the reports of the patient and they'll be reading it, and then they'll be sending the diagnosis or the treatment on the to the facility, and in that way the treatment will be done for the patient. So that has been implemented in 12 states, entirely in 12 states, and the other states the X-rays facilities are available in selective facilities. Likewise, in free diagnostics initiative in CT scan, it has been implemented in 24 states as on February 2021. So moving on to the next program that we primarily look upon is Pradhan Mantri National Dialysis Program, that we commonly call as PMNDP program. So as you can see in the picture, it explains it all, that through Pradhan Mantri National Dialysis Program, we provide the guidelines that we have launched. It says that we provide national dialysis services free of cost to the BPL patients, that is below for poverty line patients, and the dialysis are at subsidized rates to APL patients in the district hospitals. So it is hemodialysis. The PMNDP includes hemodialysis, easy tracking of patients, and patients are provided free drugs and diagnostics, as well as the peritoneal dialysis is also included in the Pradhan Mantri National Dialysis Program. So this is the guideline that we have launched, and it was launched in 2016 under National Health Mission, and the provision was to provide free dialysis services to the BPL patient. The program was successfully rolled out in 2016, and the program at that time envisaged provision of dialysis services under NHM in PPP mode at district hospitals. So as you can see that this is our achievement, and we have successfully implemented the program in 35 states and UTs, which covers a total of 5 and 12 districts, and we have these services available at 923 centers across India and deploying a total of 6020 hemodialysis machines. This data that we have taken is from the DVDMS and the state dialysis reports that the states are submitting monthly to the national office. And in the PPP mode, we have 20 states, and in-house mode, we have 15 states. And as of now, till 31st January 2021, we have covered approximately 9.74 lakh patients, and we have conducted approximately 97.52 lakhs hemodialysis sessions as on 31st January 2021. Now we are coming, as we know that the hemodialysis is cost effective, but we are coming to with another modality under Pradhan Mantri National Dialysis Program, that is the peritoneal dialysis. And we came up with the guidelines of peritoneal dialysis in October 2019, and we recommend this also to be enrolled in states, and states implement to these program. And the achievements that we have in peritoneal dialysis, the rollout of peritoneal dialysis is in progress in public health facilities, and we are in the process of developing guidance document for assisting the states that how they can roll out the program. That is in timeline. Moving to the next program, which is Biomedical Equipment Maintenance and Management Program. So in Biomedical Equipment Maintenance and Management Program, as the name says, we have the program for all the equipments. As I mentioned in my first slide, that a survey was done in 2013 in which it was seen that most of the 63% of the equipments that were lying in National Health Mission facilities, that is the primary health center, community health center, and district hospitals, were lying dysfunctional, and this was creating problem, or this was restricting the treatment of the patients. So we came up with this guideline, and in this is a comprehensive package in which the states are provided the service provider, in which the states can go for a biomedical equipment maintenance and management program with the service provider, and which the service provider, the facilities may log in a complaint from any facility in which they are sitting, and they will get a toll-free number on the toll-free number that has been given by the service provider, and they'll be given a complaint number, and within certain hours the facility will get the biomedical engineer to visit the facility and solve the problem. So this is the reason why we started the program. For technology intensive programs, we need to have a fully functional equipment. Earlier, dysfunctional equipment raise was 30 to 63% across various states in the study that was conducted. So under NHM, we came up with a comprehensive maintenance program. An exclusive program was launched under PPP, given that equipment maintenance is a specialized skill requiring immediate availability of biomedical engineers and spare parts. So the main characteristics of the program is that the state will enroll a service provider which must provide a toll-free number to all the facilities, that should be displayed in all the facilities, to register faulty equipment complaints, and the toll-free number shall also be visible in all the facilities. Apart from this, the service provider is bound to provide an equipment ID to all the equipments. So once the program is in the state has enrolled a service provider, the first job of the service provider is to provide the equipment tagging to all the equipments. They have to give a unique ID to all the equipments, and these equipments will then, whenever the complaint has to be logged, the complaint has to be logged with that. And they have to provide a dashboard, a real-time dashboard. The service provider has to provide a real-time dashboard, in which we can monitor that how many equipments are functional, how many are dysfunctional, how many are under warranty, how many complaints have been raised, and how many complaints have been resolved, and what all are the complaints which have gone beyond the upkeep time. So the service providers monitoring can also be done with the help of the dashboard. The service provider is bound to provide spare parts, engineering, HR, and they have to provide an upkeep time of medical equipments, that is 95% for DH, 90% for CHCs, and 80% for PHCs. So the program has been successfully rolled out in 31 states. Now, after this, we came up in October 2019, we came up with a technical manual, because there are certain states which have implemented the program in in-house mode. So we wanted to strengthen the in-house capacities. So how those states can monitor their program, in the technical manual for biomedical equipment management and maintenance program, we have detailed explanation to those points, and the states may refer to those guidelines if they have enrolled in in-house mode implementation. And also the states which have enrolled in PPP, they may look back to this technical manual, how they can monitor the working or the services provided by the public-private partner. So this is the achievement that we have done, that we have achieved in the biomedical equipment maintenance and management program. The program has been implemented in the 31 states as on February 21. And from these, 24 states have implemented in PPP mode, and in in-house mode, there are 7 states. As I already told, that the dashboard has been developed, which helps in monitoring the medical equipment at any facility within the state. This is also one of the basic criteria of the PPP provider, which they have to follow. Moving on to the fourth program that we look onto is AERB compliance in public health facilities. So AERB is Automatic Energy Regulatory Board. And when we go on evaluations in states and we look for the programmatic view, we see that the radiology equipments are often in states lying they are not following the guidelines that have been developed by the Atomic Energy Regulatory Board. They lack those things, and because of which they may cause harm to the people who are working within the facility and the patients who are visiting the facility. So that was the main reason why we came up with the AERB compliance in public health facilities, to rapidly strengthen public health facilities in terms of diagnostics, radiology, and equip them to address concerns related to radiation safety. NHM has reiterated AERB safety guidelines, and we have formulated a request for proposal for implementing. The salient features of this guideline is the state has to enroll in this program in 3 phases. The first is the compliance study, in which the state has to identify what all equipments they are having that requires a AERB certificate. In the second, they have to develop the infrastructure. They have to see whether there are any infrastructure changes that they have to make, including lead lining, personal protective equipments, quality assurance, etc. And the third, when all the two parameters are done, then the third is that issuing of license of operation as per AERB regulations. So as of now, this is a very new program that we have launched. So as of now, we have implemented it in total 6 states. Let me take you to a study which NHSRC has conducted. And in this, we did a study of 12 states and UTs with the help of the biomedical dashboard, this dashboard that was created. So we took all the radiology equipments that were visible in the biomedical dashboard, because that is accessible to in the public domain, and we access all the radiology equipments with the help of the AERB website. And we have done this study that how many equipments like X-rays, CM, CT scan, and mammography, which are functional within the respective state, and how much compliance the respective states has. So we have guided these particular states that this is your compliance rate and how you can accelerate or how you can go for AERB compliance in your respective state. So this was the study that was conducted, and on the basis of which we are promoting, or we are asking states to enroll in the AERB program. Moving on to the next part of work that we do, apart from the programmatic point of view, we have technical specifications for medical devices. So all in all, in the Indian Public Health Standard, we have certain equipments that are to be placed, certain equipments not, we have equipments, medical devices, which are to be at each facility like primary health center, community health center, sub-district hospitals, and district hospitals. So we at HCT division in NHSRC, we develop technical specification for those medical devices. These technical specifications are the minimum specifications and requirements that the state can refer as a reference, and they may follow these while procuring equipments depending on their requirement in the respective states. So in this regard, the division has formulated technical specifications of medical devices as per IPHS guidelines. So the achievement that we have done is develop technical specifications for medical devices required in 15 specialities as per Indian Public Health Standards. Though we have developed 333 equipments technical specifications that are available in the public domain. This is a glimpse of all the technical specifications that are available in the public domain. As you can see, we have developed technical specifications for neonatal and pediatric care ICUs. We have developed it for ophthalmic department. We have developed for laboratory and radiology department, for skill laboratories, emergency response system, operation theaters, post-mortem department, and SNCUs. The other important work that we do is National Health Innovation Portal. We assess all the equipments that are submitted under the product category in National Health Innovation Portal by various states or any product providers, product companies. We assess all the equipments in a decided parameter, and then we submit our response to the ministry and the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and we promote technology and innovation. So this is an attempt to pool in and showcase innovations in technologies, ability to address health system challenges in specific contexts, and by health products, we mean medical devices, healthcare IT, mHealth, telehealth, eHealth from a bulk of product innovations. So this is one of our guidelines that we have done, that how we assess the health product innovation. So whenever any product is it's submitted under the NHINP portal, online submission is done, and the first level of screening is done by the Healthcare Technology Division. The shortlisted innovations are put up to the screening committee for selections and assessment on appropriate innovations, and then it has been the recommendations of the screening committee are submitted to the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, from where it has been decided that where it should be, whether it should go for further evaluation under Department of Health Research, or it should be reviewed by the Health Technology Assessment in India, India, or it should be presented under National Best Practice Summit. This is the interlinkages of programs and divisions. So we also at Healthcare Technology Division, we provide technical support to Department of Health Research, Department of Pharmaceuticals, CDSCO, IIT, AIIMS, and Ministry for what all equipments they have or any medical technical support they require. And as I said that we are the collaborating center for WHO. So whatever work comes related to the equipment, devices and policy making, we are the part of WHO also. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vatika. That was very informative and very interesting presentation by you. And thank you for enlightening us about the wonderful work being done by the Healthcare Technology Division of NHRC.
Thank you.
We definitely can now proudly say that Pan India support the various state initiatives or UTs being given by NHRC Healthcare Division is commendable. We very well know now that NHSRC is playing a very important role in rolling out very you can say a major healthcare initiatives pan India, be it the free diagnostic service initiative or PM Pradhan Mantri dialysis program or biomedical management and maintenance program or national health innovation portal. Whatever you are doing, the work is commendable. So my sincere thanks to you for joining us today and letting us know what work is being done by your organization. So thank you so much, Vartika, for joining us today. Thank you so
Thank
very
you. Thank you for calling me. Thank you.